The PlayStation Store has launched yet another fantastic flash sale, and in this video we're going to take a look at 10 awesome deals available right now. Let's get right into this. First up, we've got Deus Ex Mankind Divided for just $5.99. Now, Deus Ex Mankind Divided was available as a PlayStation Plus title earlier this year, so for some of you guys, you may have already gotten the game for nothing, but if you didn't, Deus Ex Mankind Divided for just $5.99 is a great pickup. Now, I wouldn't say that this game is quite as good as its predecessor in Human Revolution, however, from a gameplay standpoint and a technical standpoint, Mankind Divided is a better game. It's just that from a storytelling standpoint, the game kind of ends abruptly, and it's not as satisfying as Human Revolution. However, for $5.99, Mankind Divided is still a worthwhile RPG to check out.
They manipulated the dawn of Human 2.0, made it dangerous, made me. I'm going to use every advantage I have to stop them. My advanced capabilities convinced Interpol to recruit me to their counter-terrorism task force, despite objections.
Next up, we have Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition for $7.49. Now, this is very relevant right now because Devil May Cry 5 just got announced, so if you want to familiarize yourself with the DMC franchise, Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition is a worthwhile look. Now, this is a remaster of the 2008 DMC4 game, and it includes a lot of improvements. With this one, you have both English and Japanese voice tracks, improved visual effects, in-game rebalancing, additional costumes, and 3 bonus playable characters in Virgil, Trish, as well as Lady. DMC4 is a great game, although it is a little bit dated at this point. It did release over a decade ago. It's still a pretty decent action game, and at $7.49, not a bad pickup at all. Next up, we have Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition for $9.99. Now, this is also a very relevant inclusion, as the PlayStation 4 will soon be seeing the release of Divinity Original Sin 2 Definitive Edition, and that game has already been released on PC and is regarded as one of the best RPGs of all time. Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition is the first game, and it's also very good. However, this is more of a PC-centric game, so if you're just checking it out for the first time on the PS4, it does have a little bit of a learning curve attached to it. It doesn't hold your hand all too much, but it's a game that is absolutely engrossing if you do have a little bit of patience for it, and at just $9.99, you are getting a ridiculous amount of content for your money. Next up, another game that fits a similar bill like Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition has to be Pillars of Eternity Complete Edition for $19.99. Now, $19.99 for Pillars of Eternity Complete Edition is a little bit expensive, but for the price, I think this game is absolutely worth it. It's developed by Obsidian, who have done some excellent RPGs in the past, and with this version of the game, you do get the White March expansion as well, which adds a significant amount of content to an already content-filled experience. Now, this is a game that also has a little bit of a learning curve attached to it. Not a lot of the dialogue is voice acted, so it is a lot of reading. However, the story is really good, and Pillars of Eternity is seeing a sequel released in Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire. If you've yet to check out the first game, at $19.99, the complete edition isn't a bad look.
I believe you are in control. Taiwanda. Where will your choice...
Next up, we have Oxen-Free for $4.99. This is a game that I always go to bat for because it is a fantastic story-driven adventure. Oxen-Free was developed by Night School Studios, and that studio actually has developers that worked on various Telltale games, and when you play Oxen-Free, you can really see that shine through. And what's amazing about Oxen-Free is that the storytelling is so great, the characters are so relatable, and it's a coming-of-age story where a group of high school students go on a vacation on an island, and just the banter between all of the characters is very relatable. Now, they do introduce supernatural beings, so things do go a bit awry, but the story itself is still very good, and the character interactions are top-notch, and for $4.99, Oxen-Free is a great pickup.
I mean, that's what Ren made it sound like.
Yeah, but I mean...
You used to come here a lot as a kid, right? You used to come here a lot as a kid.
Something's wrong.
Next up, we have another very underrated game in Sleeping Dogs, the Definitive Edition, which is down to $5.99. Sleeping Dogs is such a fantastic game. It was originally released back in 2012 on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. A lot of people will say it's Grand Theft Auto and Hong Kong, but it's so much more than that. And it's not like Grand Theft Auto at all, to be completely honest. The game itself is set in an open world, but it's a far more contained open world than, say, a GTA 5. And the hand-to-hand combat is excellent. If you've yet to check out Sleeping Dogs, you're really doing yourself a disservice. The game didn't do well enough from a commercial standpoint for Square Enix to justify a sequel, and that is so unfortunate, but if you've yet to check out Sleeping Dogs, do so. Get the Definitive Edition. It's got all of the downloadable content, and at just $5.99, it is a bargain.
You've crossed the line, Wade. Sit down and shut the fuck up.
Next up, another Definitive Edition. Tomb Raider to the Definitive Edition is also down to $5.99. Now, Tomb Raider, of course, had a far better received commercial reception, as we saw a follow-up title to this game in Rise of the Tomb Raider, and then we'll be seeing another game this year in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, but it all started with 2013's Tomb Raider, and of course, the Definitive Edition came out in 2014, and this is what Tomb Raider really needed to be revitalized. Tomb Raider got very stale prior to this, but the Definitive Edition is an origin story, and it is great. If you've yet to jump on board with the new iteration of Tomb Raider games, you're really missing out because all of the games are really good. The Definitive Edition for just $5.99 is great, but after you play this, you'll definitely want to pick up ROTR, and you'll definitely be excited for Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Come on out, girl. Stop hiding.
You can do this, Lara.
For a child, you've caused me a great deal of trouble. She's the one.
I made a promise. I've got to find them.
Next up, we have Strider for $2.99. This Strider game brings the iconic ninja back into the gaming world, and it's a great game while also retaining all of that nostalgic appeal playing the game, but also being rather modern mechanically. Visually, the game is very appealing, and there's a lot of fun to be had with Strider, and you don't even have to be a fan of the older games. If you just want a good side-scrolling action game, this is gonna fit the bill, and at just $2.99, that's such a cheap price, and a great pickup at that. Next up, we have Transistor for $4.99. Transistor was the second game by Supergiant Games, who also did the excellent Bastion, and more recently they put out Pyre. Transistor was released in between both of those titles, and it was a great game with an awesome cyberpunk setting, a great art style, very interesting gameplay mechanics, a little bit of strategy in there, and the strength of this game is really its presentation, how it presents its world, and just like every other Supergiant game, it's a game that ages very well because of its strong presentation. It's not one of those games that's technically advanced for its time, but then withers away in time. Transistor is a game that's held up very well, and for $4.99, it is a great pickup.
They'll find us again. They'll find you and finish the job. Unless you find them first. You always have a plan. And now, you have something more.
And finally, we have Zero Escape, the Nonary games for $19.99. I should also mention Zero Escape Zero Time Dilemma is available for $15.99. Visual novels really haven't found a place in mainstream gaming, especially here in the West, but they are getting more and more popular with games like Danganronpa and, of course, Zero Escape. The Zero Escape titles are very engaging. Of course, these games are light on the gameplay, but the story these titles tell is so exhilarating, so gripping, and if you just give the games a half an hour to an hour to hook you, you will be completely absorbed into the world and the characters of Zero Escape. Obviously, I would recommend you to play the titles in order to get the best experience. $19.99 for the first two games. Yes, that might sound expensive, but for the story you're being told, it is great. And Zero Time Dilemma for $15.99. Yes, it is more on the expensive side, but I would say it's absolutely worth it. So that is going to conclude this video. 10 awesome deals as a part of the new PlayStation Store flash sale. There are a lot of great deals available, so have a look at the entire sale for yourself. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.